Ready to start?
Keep right there, right there. Perfect. You're good, right there. You got it. Are you running for Senator Castro?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Ram Villivalam. I am the state senator for the 8th District in our great state of Illinois. I am proud to be the sponsor of Senate Bill 1474. This legislation makes it clear that local right-to-work zones have no place in the state of Illinois. It also makes it clear that the regulation of collective bargaining is a responsibility of state government. This legislation codifies the 7th Circuit decision, 7th Circuit Court decision, and Section 14B of the National Labor Relations Act. The last 4 years have been difficult in many ways. This legislation restores stability to our economy, our working families, and our taxpayers. This legislation centers on supporting economic development, maintaining the production of a highly qualified, trained workforce, making sure that workers can earn a living wage and work in good working conditions, and also protects the quality of essential services that are provided to the taxpayers in the state of Illinois. I am incredibly proud of the fact that this legislation passed on an overwhelmingly bipartisan basis. I want to thank my colleagues in the Senate for making sure that it happened on Wednesday. I also want to thank organized labor for their steadfast commitment to work on this legislation and make sure that we can stand up for working families in the state of Illinois. I want to thank Governor Pritzker, Lieutenant Governor Stratton, for their commitment to strongly support working families and the taxpayers of Illinois as well. It is an honor to stand here with all of us today as we declare once and for all that right to work has no place in the state of Illinois. And with that, I want to introduce Representative Yednock and thank him for his work to make sure that this passed through the State House as well. Representative Yednock.
Thank you, Senator. We stand here together today to celebrate the signing of a bill that respects workers' rights and the history of the labor movement and the countless families that have moved into the middle class with the dedication and sacrifice of our forefathers and our mothers. We in the building trades train workers at no cost to the workers for the high skills jobs that built America and continue to build our country and our state. We provide business owners with well-trained, motivated, efficient, and dedicated workers. We want to provide our business owners with a great product, and the former governor's stance on unions were a direct threat to us. Working families all over Illinois, we are honored to have a large bipartisan support, and we are thrilled to have a governor that sees the value of unions and all workers in this state, and we will support our efforts, and he will support our efforts with his signature. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Collier, and I'm a union rep with Local 881, United Food and Commercial Workers. February 25th, 2017, I had the honor of meeting then candidate J.B. Pritzker. J.B. in the office on a Saturday morning poured out his heart, stating that he would want to be a voice for working families if elected. And of course, I've heard this from countless number of candidates before, but this particular time he went into detail why. He went into detail about his own life and how fortunate he was and how he understood that everybody didn't have that opportunity. But he wanted people to have that opportunity. And I can say this, it was more than a political speech, because in less than 100 days as governor, he has already done more than any other governor I've ever known to back up his word to support working families. So today marks a day that I am very privileged, not just to introduce to you a governor, but to introduce to you a governor who is actually doing what he said he would do, be a voice for working families. Governor Pritzker, please. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff. Good morning to everybody, and thank you to Senator Ram Villivalam and to Representative Lance Yednock for your leadership on this bill, and to the overwhelming bipartisan majority of legislators who joined together to vote for this legislation. A special thank you to our hardworking labor leaders and members for their advocacy of this bill. And I also want to acknowledge Mike Kleinek, our acting Department of Labor director, who is working hard every day to make sure that we live up to our obligations to working families across Illinois. The Collective Bargaining Freedom Act makes it abundantly clear that we have turned the page here in Illinois. From the start, right to work was an idea cooked up to lower wages, slash benefits, and hurt our working families. Right to work has always meant right to work for less money, and it's wrong for Illinois. This is a state where we stand up for our workers' rights and their right to come together and to negotiate a better deal. This is a state that listens when workers raise their voices for fair wages, for good benefits, and for safe working conditions. This is a state where working families will thrive. Since day one of my administration, I have focused on living up to our promise to put Springfield back on the side of working families. I signed an executive order restoring project labor agreements and another fighting wage theft and day labor exploitations. And I signed legislation enforcing prevailing wage. In February, we moved forward with historic legislation to raise the minimum wage so that 1.4 million Illinoisans will soon be taking home more money to their families after a hard day's work. And just this week, we announced language for a constitutional amendment to bring a fair tax to Illinois so that we can protect our middle class and those who are striving to get there. It's no secret that we face real fiscal challenges in this state, but I will never be a governor who seeks to balance our budget on the backs of working families. As I've said, it's wrong that I would pay the same income tax rate as someone earning $100,000 or someone earning $30,000. Under this plan, anyone making $250,000 or less will pay the same or less, and all the while, 3% of the people of this state will pay more. In the end, I want my administration to be judged by the work that we do to lift up working families and to help every single Illinoisan thrive, and the fair tax helps accomplish that goal. We're taking another step in that direction today by enacting a law that not only is the right thing to do, but that will also ensure that the state of Illinois is following and in compliance with the National Labor Relations Act. I look forward to signing the bill, and we'll be happy to take questions right after the signing. Okay, well, we're happy to take any questions that you may have.
The Supreme Court has been asked to look at the Lincolnshire case, and there's speculation that if they side with Lincolnshire, that this could be a moot law. What would be your reaction to that, or what would you like to tell the Supreme Court going into the possibility that they take up the case?
Well, the law as it is does not allow a state to hand this responsibility down to the local communities. This bill actually just establishes what is the law today, so I believe that that would be moot, essentially, at the Supreme Court.
The new DCFS director is set to start on Monday. How will the department avoid a conflict of interest between the new director and Aunt Martha's private agency when it comes to him signing contracts and negotiations?
Well, let's start with he brings an enormous amount of experience as a result of having been involved with Aunt Martha's. He is a person of integrity. There's no doubt there are other people in the agency who will be opining and looking at the contracts, any contracts that will occur between DCFS and Aunt Martha's, and I know that there'll be a fair contract. There's also a lot of history of those contracts, so it'll be easy to see that they're following along in the, in the history that already exists.
Will he be allowed to sign off on those contracts even though he has that connection to Aunt Martha's?
I don't think that's been decided yet, but suffice to say that there's a general counsel at DCFS, there are senior personnel at DCFS, all of whom will be looking at those contracts.
On labor issues, where would you draw the line on local contract negotiations? I know the House has passed a bill for $40,000 teacher minimum wage. The Senate's passed a similar bill. Likely something's going to be on your desk soon. What else should the state take away from local school boards that make you?
Look, here's what you should pay attention to. This administration has been all about standing up for working families. We're going to review legislation with that as the lens through which we make any decisions. What's going to be best for working families across the state, particularly the middle class and those who are striving to get there?
Is there any everyone in this room has watched TV and said, oh God, another political ad. How are you going to get the message across on your graduated text without driving everybody crazy with non-stop ads?
Well, they're not my ads, as you know, but I'm glad to see that there are ads. I want to, make sure that people hear the message about the fair tax and why it's so important that we stand up for the middle class and those who are striving to get there. And let me remind you that, there are opponents of this who have offered no alternative. And there is no choice here about doing nothing. You can't choose to do nothing in this circumstance. We have a multi-billion-dollar structural deficit. It will go on ad infinitum. We'll be suffering under it unless we have a solution. I put forward one, and one that protects the middle class. No one else has seemed to have put forward a plan to do that.
Republican leadership has said that their plan is to lower taxes, get regulations out of the way, grow business, thereby increasing the amount of revenue by more jobs in the state.
That's a lot of, information that has zero to do with the facts on the ground. Tell us exactly what you're going to cut, because that's really what they're saying. They want to cut government by 15%. Tell me if you want your universities cut by 15%. Tell me if you think it's okay if your local property taxes go up because the Republicans want to cut funding for K-12 education. Tell me if you want fewer state police on the roads to protect you, because that is what they're advocating for.
Is there any movement on a capital planning now that everybody wants that, but you've only got like a month and a half left, right?
There's a lot of movement. There's been a lot of discussion, not just among the leaders, but also about their designees. So we'll be working on that, as we are working on the number of other bills that will take place over the next 6 or 7 weeks.
For or against a gasoline tax increase?
Well, there's a lot of discussion about what the sources will be for the capital bill, and that's one yes, it is. And so that is one of those sources that's being considered.
Defeated a ban the box proposal for college admissions, saying they couldn't look at past criminal history when deciding whether to admit someone to college. But it looks like negotiations are continuing. Where are you on that, balancing criminal justice reform with safety on campus?
Remember why we talk about things like that sort of legislation. It's because we want to make sure that those who have paid the price for a crime that they've committed aren't punished for the rest of their lives, and that they have an opportunity to get an education and to get a job. And so that's why these things continue in negotiations. You know, for some people, it may seem like, you know, why would you give someone that opportunity? For me, I think education is a ticket out of the situation that got them in prison in the first place.
Thank you, everyone.
Universities all
I'm sorry, go ahead, what, last one?
over the country have been under investigation by the U.S. Department of Education for not doing enough to protect women on campus in particular, not addressing sexual assault and sexual violence on campus. So is this maybe the right time to be taking steps to let?
Well, we're going to make sure we, you know, fund our universities well enough and make sure that they have secure situations on campus. And of course, the people that stand around me, Republicans and Democrats, want to make sure that people are safe on campus. So we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that happens.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Hey.
Our officers, Jeff Berkowitz, thanks for joining us on the Illinois Channel. We're going to take a bit of an in-depth look at the run for the mayor of Chicago. The Illinois Channel, keeping you connected to your state, your issues, your home.